afternoon. My name is Coleen Greco. As you can see here on this slide, I am the daughter of Al, and I will tell you who Al is here in a second. I'm also a member of the board of directors of the Lewy Body Dementia Association and have been for the past couple of years. Thank you for joining today's session. All lines are muted for the duration of the session. In the event there's any background noise, we can keep folks focused on content. You can ask questions via the Q&A icon, and here's a little glimpse of what that looks like. If for some reason you can't access the Q&A icon, feel free to do it via chat as well, and you can send me a chat message and through your questions at the conclusion of the presentation. We'll post the presentation on our website within 2 weeks of this broadcast so that you may replay it at your leisure. We'll also post instructions as to how to access the next edition of the Lewy Body Digest, which is our regular newsletter communication out to our constituents. And again, a reminder that today's session is recorded. So, I just wanted to spend a few minutes kind of going through the quote, awareness is the catalyst for change. This quote by Nathaniel Branden, it just sort of spoke to me as I was thinking about the content for today's presentation. The first step towards change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. Today's presentation is just about raising awareness for Lewy body dementia. We're all connected to the disease in one way or another, be it you may have LBD yourself, connected to LBD, maybe you're a patient or a caregiver or a family member. Those yet to be diagnosed. So just taking a moment to sort of reflect on one degree of separation that connects us all to this disease. It's all about raising and elevating awareness and really just getting vocal about Lewy body dementia. We have an awareness month. We have a month dedicated to awareness. It's October. Every single year, we hold all types of events throughout that month, be it support groups, be it in-person events, webinars. I'm sorry, everybody should be muted here, and they're not. I'm going to mute them. I apologize. Small fundraisers, large fundraisers, having professionals, conduct seminars talking about the latest advances in research. We've done promotions, on the Today Show, and you'll find, evidence of that on our website. And we can do to just tell one person every day about the disease is part of our charter. So probably not your way to, really shout it from the rooftops. That's sort of what we ask. Although the disease is fair, it's quite cruel at times. I tell people within my own circle, it shortens my experiences and limits our future, but the truth is we have to embrace it and engage it. And if we can tell one new person so that it doesn't become so widespread, that the disease actually isn't a household term, that's really, our goal. So a little about my story. We have her here. That's me. I've cut my hair, but that's me behind Dad. At that point, he was 72 years old. Dad was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia back in early 2009. Although he started presenting symptoms in the winter of 2008, we saw a decline in his handwriting, and he started to develop a tremor. I actually think, and I was speaking to somebody just before this webinar again, that I think we were quite fortunate that he presented with some physical symptoms before just straight memory loss. I really do believe that brought us to a faster diagnosis. My dad, his name is Al Morrison. He was a civil engineer. He worked really, really hard and really instilled that in all of us. He was the sole income provider for our family. He's the father of 7 kids and the oldest of 5 with his own family. being I never felt as if I wasn't valued. He was always there for all of his kids. We had a huge garden in the backyard that took up all of his weekends, every single weekend, trying to, show us how to grow corn, peas, and I mean things like rhubarb, which I had never even heard of, pumpkins. I mean, you name it, we grew it, and it was really great. He showed us, how to take care of ourselves and provide for ourselves. The oldest and I are about 13 years apart, so I always joke that you can imagine the dinner table conversation ranging from, her wanting to borrow the car to, me with the latest and greatest Barbie doll and all the issues in between. So we always say that we can't imagine how they did it all, but just through hard work, perseverance, and faith, got us to where we are today. I talked about how he was diagnosed in early 2009, and we noticed some changes. I think changes are really that we can all kind of identify with. That's how all the folks that I've talked to that are connected to this disease and some of the sister diseases out there, like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, change seems to be what we all describe is what we've noticed. His, again, was related to his car, but in the winter of 2008, he misplaced his car in the next town over from where I grew up. That was a town he grew up in, and he knew the streets like the back of his hands, and he went and parked his car and was going into the Social Security Administration building for some tax purposes or something, and came out and didn't realize his car was on another street. He thought it was a similar-looking truck. His had his company name on it. This one didn't. He didn't seem to notice that detail, and he was trying to break in. And the owner came out and obviously exchanged some words, and the owner called the police thinking that my father was trying to steal his truck. Well, he was just confused, and his truck was on literally, I think, one parallel street over. So that caused us to, really take a harder look at all of his symptoms and put some pressure on his neurologist to get a proper diagnosis. So this is a picture of us during my first race, which I'll talk about in a second. It takes the disease away, unfortunately, and so in my way of coping and I think healing was to cast a positive light on what I consider at this point an irreversible situation. He's 76 years old, so unfortunately there's probably not a lot we can do for him, but my goal is if we can make one family's experience a little better than what we went through, then I've accomplished that. So in 2009, I held my first race. It's called LBD Morrison 5K Run/Walk. It's 3.1 miles. Really, the goal was to help raise awareness and provide much-needed awareness and research dollars for the organization, while again, connecting with local families and just casting that positive light on what I felt was, a bit of a dark situation. My goal was to raise $10,000. I had run this idea past my dad on Father's Day to say, what do you think? And I'd really like to honor you by using your name. And all private man, he agreed and thought, this is his way to pay it forward and awareness for this disease. So 90 days, although I felt that $10,000 was a bit of a long shot, we pulled, and this was the result of, I think on my own network of people to just say, could you just help me try to accomplish this goal? So in October, just weeks before his birthday, we raised $33,000, so it tripled our goal, and I did the whole thing within 90 days. The lessons I learned from 2009 is, of course, my idea only mattered, if only to me, that, really, it didn't matter if I raised $100,000 or if I raised $100. The fact was that I was, teaching everybody that attended that one person can make a difference. I wanted Dad to matter to everybody. I wanted everybody to know that this disease came along and really changed the course of his life and and us within the family that, he's still a person. He has, 7-something years of really positive experiences, and I didn't want him to be known for who he was about to be. And everybody to know that LBD matters, and I didn't care who I had to tell because I was becoming an ambassador, and since have met hundreds and hundreds of families that have said, thank you so much for, doing even the simplest of activities, which I'll get to here in a second. So this is a picture of my children, actually. So the message here is that every little step matters. On September 11th of this past fall, I was coming home from one of my board meetings with LBDA. I go to Atlanta every March and September. I leave my kids behind. I leave, that precious time with them in an effort to just pay it forward. So I'm at the airport in Atlanta on September 11th, which was a Sunday, and as you can imagine, everybody's a bit on edge, but it was absolutely empty, and all the teleprompters all over the airport had, remembrance stories as it was the 10th anniversary, and just kind of put me in a point of reflection. And I think as a result, got a little anxious about, getting home, being with my kids and my husband, and just, hugging them. And so I land in Boston, and amazingly enough, my phone rings about 10 minutes after I land, and it's the kids. And the one here, Christopher, kind of tough picture to see, but he called and said, hey, I really want to put together a lemonade stand, and I want all the proceeds to go to Lewy Body Dementia. Now, obviously, Lewy Body Dementia is always on his mind. It's on his mind because I was away for the weekend on behalf of the disease. But they didn't need to take time out of their, precious weekends themselves to put together a lemonade stand. But they did, and they took the sidewalk chalk, and on our driveway, you can see here, they advertised. We had some signs out, and on a 60-degree day, which it was kind of cold for a lemonade stand, we had $52.50 in 2 hours for Lewy Body Dementia. So, number one, it was impromptu. Number two, it was a role model. It was not a role model, but we are models for our kids. This taught me is that they were accepting the messages that I had been teaching them, and that a simple but yet very impactful message that will stick with them for hopefully years to come. So obviously one idea sparks another, and it sparks another. Within the Boston area, we've become a bit of a hub of awareness, and really, really proud of that. And I certainly don't take any of the credit for that, although, I do think one of the benefits of the race in 2009, and I'm remiss in saying that we ran it in 2010 and 2011 as well, so we've raised about $100,000 now for Lewy Body Dementia. But it inspired people that I think at the time were feeling pretty isolated to do their own events. And, I'm not advocating for everybody that wants to get involved to do some sort of special event. Again, it could be passing out information to physicians. It could be, hosting an educational series at maybe your support group, whatever it may be. But it inspires people to, to get involved and to do the various things that they want to do to spread awareness. But I often think about why these people, took time of their nights and their weekends and time away from their families to get involved. And really, it's because, they know that one simple gesture really does have a multiplier effect, and we've been able to see that. In Boston, there was one event. It's a golf event, and it happens either every year or every other year. I'm not sure as to the cadence. But last year we had 8 special events throughout the course of October, and that's something I'm not sure would have happened before we had Institute Awareness Month and before some of these other special events had been carried out. So we're really, really proud of the way Boston has really pulled together and developed what we now call a hub of hope. And we have these hubs of hope throughout the United States that, really combine people that otherwise would have not had a connection, and gets them to, figure out ways where they can team up and do things together. But you have to ask yourself, what do you have to lose? If you do nothing, your loved one is still going to have LBD, unfortunately. But, I think back to some of the research I've done and, ask that what if the founder of the Susan G. Komen organization had that same philosophy? Not know the story, but Susan G. Komen was started by a woman who lost her sister to breast cancer at the age of 36. That's all it was one person saying, I need to do something. I don't think, any one of us on the call had that kind of energy, or maybe we do, and I'm really envious if you do. But, the point being that one person really can make a difference and that every effort does invoke change if we want it to. And here, just reminding you that October is a month to remember. That's the theme of our awareness campaign, Being Strong with the Lewy Body Dementia Association, and just encourage you to, whatever extent you're able or want to just get connected. Either register for our newsletter via LBDA.org, like on Facebook if you're on Facebook. Stay connected by either joining an existing special event. There's no saying you have to do your own. There are activities that are out there and that are, always looking for volunteers. I actually wish I had, called on some volunteers more. But, I think some people just don't know that those volunteers are out there because they're not raising their hand. Join a support group in your area and tell at least one person today about the disease or to get connected. Open up the lines now for any questions you may have or any comments. I'll use the chat to see.